What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Hypersensitive Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Mozaliski, and today we have a exciting episode with a friend of mine and an absolutely phenomenal swimwear brand, Jorgie Apparel, and I'm going to be in conversation with Miss Georgina Thompson herself. So I wanted to do a little intro before we get into the episode today, and we're going to talk about all kinds of things. We're going to talk about being an entrepreneur, where she grew up, having ADHD, of course. And we're going to talk about some of the effects of social media when you're trying to build a brand and what that looks like. So I hope you all stay tuned, and thank you so much for listening. Georgina Thompson is the founder of Jorgie Apparel, a custom-made swimwear company based in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Georgina is a passionate advocate for instilling confidence, collaboration, and sustainability into each and every perfectly unique handmade garment that graces your body. Georgina has created more than just a brand. She's built a community. By involving people like you in immersive experiences such as photo shoots, fashion shows, and social branding, she has cultivated a following of devoted individuals who are wholeheartedly supporting her mission. And today we have the incredible opportunity to dive into the brand and discover the remarkable woman behind the stunning bathing suits. We'll explore the story, the inspiration, and the journey that brought Georgina to where she is today. So sit back, relax, grab yourself a Mai Tai, or however you say it, or a Bellini, or a pina colada, whatever you drink on the beach, and get ready to embark on a journey of style, creativity, and empowerment of Jorgie Apparel. Welcome back to the Hypersensitive Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Mozaliski, and today we are doing a conversation with Miss Georgina Thompson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Exciting.
I'm so happy that you're here. Tell us where you're from. Where are you from originally? Where did you go to school?
So I was born and raised in Vancouver. It's pretty rare nowadays to find people who stick around. And I went to school kind of all over the place, and I went to university at BCIT. I guess not university. It's an institute.
It's okay. I didn't go to university at all, so here we are.
Yeah, I
a
took
podcaster.
Well, I don't know. I don't really think that it's necessary to go to post-secondary. Like, I really don't, because I feel like I've learned so much more on my own and from YouTube University.
Totally. Autodidact, teaching yourself how to do things. And I think that maybe the pressure is still there from a lot of parents, but I think that's starting to go away a little bit. Forcing kids to go to school when we learn so much hands-on and from each other now. Like, there's so many resources available, even online and through each other. And it seems like a lot of people are running their own businesses online now.
Yeah, and I hope that employers also see the value of someone being self-taught as well, because I feel like I'm so much more skilled now than graduating university.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just from like all the life experience.
You have like real hands-on work experience.
Yeah. And like, yeah, for example, for accounting, I took like 4 accounting courses, and I had no idea how to work an accounting program because we didn't use one in school. We did everything on paper, but like, it didn't help me at all with my business. Like, I literally had to get people that I knew in my life and just like kind of took little bits from everybody. And then I feel like this year was really big for like that financial side of learning, and that was like a really big jump for me this year to really dive in deep, because I really hate that part of it.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear that. For sure.
But it's like, it's satisfying in the end. Like, when you get the end result, like, you finished your budget and you're like, oh yeah, like, it looks great, everything's figured out. And then the process to get there and like all the logic that has to go in it is like not my forte.
There's so many technical aspects of being an entrepreneur. I think most people think that it's, I'm just gonna make, she makes garments. I'm just gonna make the garments, and I'm just gonna open like an online shop and they will sell. And it's like, there are so many other aspects and so many other expenses to being an entrepreneur. Did somebody in your family like run their own business? How did you even know how to get started?
Growing up, I guess that question that you asked little kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And mine was, I wanted to be a singer.
Yeah.
And I cannot sing at all. I
Sing.
think I was just like inspired because I have singers in my family. And I found out by lots of people telling me that I cannot sing at all.
That's
Not
hilarious.
at all.
That's amazing.
So I guess looking back, there are some like instances of like, oh, that could have inspired me. Like, I used to make clothing for my teddy bears and stuff with my mom.
Oh, that's interesting. So your mom sewed.
Yeah, my mom sewed, yeah. She didn't really sew kind of when I was a teenager. She kind of stopped. And then basically hasn't really sewn since I was like maybe 13.
Interesting.
But yeah, and like the highest grade I had in school was like 99% in sewing class.
So it kind of made sense. And did you put those things together?
No, I was really into graphic design at the time. So I kind of focused on that. I even took like a special graphic design, they called it an ACIT program, and it was like your whole afternoon was all just for media arts. It's supposed to like accelerate you into that field, and that didn't work out. And I also
try things.
Well, part of it too was like it was a 2-year program, and in the second year I was offered to go to Germany for my grade 12 year.
Right.
So I couldn't even continue to finish the course anyways, but yeah, that just wasn't for me. And like I also really liked programming and stuff. Like I was like self-taught how to like code websites and stuff.
Oh my God. So did you build your own website too eventually?
Yeah. In high school I had a couple websites. It's kind of embarrassing, but they were for cats. And it was based on this book series. And like everybody that was like nerdy and super into the books all had their own website.
Oh, interesting.
And then we all taught each other how to code through those websites.
Crazy.
Like you'd go onto like somebody's website that you found, and then you would be like, hey, I love your website. Can you teach me how you did this? And then sometimes you'll get like, sure, here's the code, or try looking this up or whatever. Like it was just amazing. And it was kind of embarrassing because it was like it was like you would make your cat character in the story.
Oh, wild. Okay.
Like for example,
this is like quite intricate.
Like Harry Potter, you'd make your own student that goes to the school of Hogwarts.
Oh my God.
So you'd have a cat that was like part of the story.
Wow, that's actually probably quite helpful. I mean, now
it was so helpful for like what I do now. Because I do all my website stuff. I do most of my graphic design except for like the prints and stuff. Thanks, Christine. And
shout out, Christine.
I cannot draw for the life of me. That was the other thing with graphic design is I cannot draw. And if you want to get into graphic design, I feel like it's essential nowadays to be able to at least draw a little bit. Like I can't draw even a little.
But
no singing, no drawing.
You tried singing, drawing, creating websites, but it sounds like a lot of these things, maybe other than the singing, it sounds like a lot of these things were going to like be important. They were going to come into importance and be valuable for what you were actually going to do.
But at the time, like it was not obvious for sure.
Yeah.
And
then
just
like collecting all of these skills.
Yeah, which is like, you know, I guess where ADHD comes into, it's like, oh, I've learned this thing. Now moving on to the next thing to learn.
Yeah, you're like, I'm bored, or I got to try something else, or, oh, this is also interesting. I'm going to put this down and start focusing on this, and then come back to this later.
Yeah, and I never got really good at anything.
Right.
It was just like, I'm pretty good at that. I'm okay at that. I'm all right at that. I'm good at that. I'm good at that. I'm good at that.
Yeah.
But not like, wow, she's like really good at scrapbooking. You know, like
yeah.
Which was a phase. one of the many phases.
Well, it sounds like very like creative and like a lot of hands-on stuff that you really found worked for you and that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, and it definitely like all of it plays a role. Like even as a kid when you do those like coloring things and then you cut all the shapes out, like I do that for my patterns. Like I have to do that still as an adult, and every time I do it and I'm like, wow, I feel like I'm at an arts class.
That's
as
awesome.
Like a 9-year-old or something.
That's got to be fun and like really joyful to do as an adult. You're like, I get to create and I get to craft for a living. This is really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Love it.
How did you transition? Because you didn't always make bathing suits. How did that transition even happen? And how did you start doing it full time?
I guess along the lines of what we were saying, where I was kind of hopping to crafts, different crafts. And I got really into crochet when my mom got divorced and we like ran away together. And so we needed something to like do on I don't want to be too dark, but we had to go to the hospital.
It's
a
never
lot.
too dark on this podcast.
I had to like go to the hospital with her a lot at the time. And there was a lot of waiting around. So I was like, let's do something while we're sitting here on these long wait. So I bought some crochet and some hooks, and she knew like the basic stitches.
Yeah.
Just from her childhood. And so she taught me while we were sitting in the hospital.
Wow.
And then I got really into crochet, and I crocheted for like, I think 1.5 or 2 years. And then I made a bikini out of crochet, and it was horrible.
Oh, I was going to be like, that sounds so sick and gorgeous.
No, it was really bad. Yeah.
It was a first try.
Yeah. But I guess I was fed up with how slow it was, and I was ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
And so I dusted off my mom's old sewing machine and was like, okay, well, let's try this, because I was good at it when I was 13 in sewing class, so it must still be in there somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I just got really addicted to it, and I started making all sorts of stuff, mostly crop tops, because at the time it was like really trendy, and it was hard to find crop tops that would fit my bust size and my band size. And then I had a craft page, which was my original Jorgie Apparel Instagram page, and I was posting like all my crochet stuff. And
I don't even, do I remember that? I'm like, I feel like I've seen some crochet things, but maybe that was even in the earlier days before we met.
Yeah, I'm not sure when I took everything down and officially
Yeah.
changed over. But where was I going? This is ADHD's kicking in.
I know, there's 2 ADHD people here, and this is the best. You were talking about how you got into it. So you dusted off the...
Oh, yeah, sewing machine. Yeah. So I was working with stretchy fabric, which was something that my grandma and my mom and basically everyone else that sews in my life was like, no, like stretchy fabric is really hard to work with. Like don't even bother, blah, blah, blah. It's really hard. Like, and I was like, are you sure? Like, you don't have any tips at all?
What?
Like nothing? And they were just like,
got nothing.
Girl, I have no clue.
Good luck.
Yeah.
What?
Good luck. Yeah. Basically. So I was like,
were you like, I'm going to go on the internet. I'm going to figure this out.
Yeah. And at the time, like now is actually quite different. There's so much content on YouTube. But at the time, I think it was just 2 girls, maybe. It was Lagoon Designs and Edgewater Avenue, and they were the only ones I think that had any kind of swimwear tutorials.
Wow.
Just the 2. In English. There was some in other languages, but
you're like, okay, I can kind of watch and learn, but like I don't know what they're saying, so I can't figure out the rest.
So basically I spent part of the year that I was crocheting just researching and watching videos of people making swimwear, and like researching what kind of fabric, what elastic do I need, what thread do I need, how does it all work. And then finally I had the courage to be like, okay, let's just make a bikini. I have a trip coming up, let's just do it,
let's just make it.
And I lived in a really tiny apartment at the time, so I like had it all set up in my kitchen, and I think it took all day because I was just like ripping things apart and just really hack jobbed the suit together. But it was actually the best suit that I'd ever put on. Like
amazing.
It was my favorite color. It fit my body perfectly. And like I'd never had a tube top that fit. And that's what I wanted to make. I'm like, I'm going to make a tube top
that like can fit your bust and like stay up.
Yeah.
And you know, that's like, I think what was really interesting when they stopped making bikinis that were sold as a set. Like, I feel like that was all that you had when you were younger. And even when I was a teenager, I'm pretty certain it was all just a set.
Yeah, you couldn't buy anything.
You couldn't
separate.
pick a separate bottom from top, and you're like, okay, well, I'm not the same size on my upper and lower body. So that's where customization can be so important to feeling good in your body too.
Yeah, and for some of us, there's no other option. Like, I
Yeah.
can't, like, and I tried to squeeze into sizes too small. And it just makes you like internalize how uncomfortable you are, and then it like creates this like icky like self-doubt and discomfort and self-consciousness.
Yeah.
So when you wear something that makes you feel good, you internalize that, and then you're more confident and you can go out into the world and
yeah.
ask for things that you need. And
Yeah,
have the
that confidence
to-
comes from like how you feel. And if you feel you look good and you feel great in what you're wearing and you're not bothered by like things digging in and being uncomfortable and squishing parts of your body that you don't want to be squished, and you can go out and just be comfortable and just be you, and you're like, I feel good, I look good, and I can just show up.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's what that first suit gave me, was like, wow, this is the first time I felt anything like this in a swimsuit. And it's so important to me personally because I love being in the water. I love being around water. I just and to have something negative come with me to the water all the time, it kind of like takes away part of the happiness that water gives me. And now I can completely enjoy it fully.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too.
So that was your first bathing suit. And then were you just like, I'm going to make more for myself, or I'm going to make some and I'm going to like start a brand? Like, how did that continue?
Yeah. So when I came back from Mexico, I was just so obsessed with what was I going to make next. And I think the second thing I made was the Jorgie Monokini, which is still in my store, which is amazing because it's the second thing I ever made. And
That's an amazing design.
I traced it from a piece of lingerie.
Really?
And it went through a lot of iterations. And that one I took to Hawaii, and it was so cool. It had like that infinity kind of, you can tie it however you want.
Wow.
And I made that one. Actually, I wanted to go to Vegas, and I was like, what's the sexiest, but like, I don't know, most me thing that I could possibly wear to Vegas.
That's
and that's
so amazing.
what I saw on the internet. I kind of, my thing, I guess I do that a bit now, but my thing is to take inspo from a bunch of things and then take all my favorite parts of all the suits and all the inspirations and then put them into and make the perfect.
Yes.
And that was the Jorgie Monokini.
I like this.
Yes.
I want to be able to have ties on this. I want to try this. That's the coolest thing about being able to, again, customize your suit. It's like it fits my body and I can have all the elements that I love in a bathing suit that I might not have been able to wear before. That is so sweet.
And then on top of that, like us Instagram girlies, we like to take lots of pictures on vacation.
Yeah.
And having a reversible suit or a multi-way suit, it looks like you're wearing something different all the time, even though you just have the one.
Yeah, it's so versatile.
Like really good for pictures.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. So you made this amazing bathing suit to go to Las Vegas, and you were like, I cannot wait to come back and see what else I can design.
Yeah. And at the time I was really obsessed with, well, I still am, Moana bikini, and their suits are quite expensive. And at the time it was way out of my budget. And I was like, I gotta have their suit. Like there was like this one style with braided straps. And so I made that one. That was my third suit.
Sounds stunning.
And then my first person that I made a suit for was my cousin. And she really loved the Jorgie Monokini. Like, she was obsessed. She's like, can you make me one? And I was like, I don't know how. Like, I don't know how to make, like, I don't.
For somebody else's body.
Yeah, and I didn't own any sewing patterns. Like, at that point, I had just been, like, tracing old suits and manipulating them. And I was like, I don't know how to make your size. And then I was like, oh, maybe I'll borrow one of your suits and trace it, because that's what I do for mine. So that's what I did for hers to size up her Jorgie monokini and then tried to like apply the same method. But yeah, that one had to definitely go through a lot of alterations just to like I didn't think about torso length. Like she has a very long torso, so I was like,
right,
oh, like, you know, and you just kind of learn as you go, and you're like, oh, that's important, right?
Yeah, you learn through
people have different lengths this way too.
Totally. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, like there's bust size, there's waist, and you're like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, even like what we were talking about, the
gussets?
The gusset size.
Oh my God. I feel like I've heard this before, and I'm not even going to mention, it was a Kardashian thing, and I don't even want to bring them up on my channel, but it was like about the gusset size. It was, not everybody has the same size gusset for a bathing suit. Some are wider, some are more narrow, and I have come to appreciate being able to customize that aspect because it just makes your bathing suit fit better and more comfortable and swimming easier.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then so after my cousin had one, then a girl from work, because I was a flight attendant, and one of the flight attendants that I worked with was like, saw me in my monokini, and she's like, oh, I need one of those. And I was like, okay. So you think I made it for like, I don't know, $40 or something. Like just pay for a fabric and like,
yeah,
whatever. And then that was awesome. That fit perfectly.
That's amazing.
And I was like, oh.
You're like, I'm good at this. I'm like actually good at doing this.
Wow, I can do something really well. What's happening?
This is awesome.
Yeah. And then I don't know, just kind of like people just started like talking at work, and it was mostly flight attendants.
Because you were a flight attendant.
Yeah. So I think that first year, that was 2019. That whole year I was getting orders from flight attendants, and I didn't have a brand or anything special. Like I don't even think I had like a really, really old serger, and I was kind of half using it and half using my regular machine. And you should really be using the serger the whole time. Those old suits. I hope they're still together. I hope all the seams are still holding up. And then in November, I met a flight attendant whose mom was a brand marketer or something like that, and she told me to talk to her mom and just say like, just brainstorm with my mom, like she loves this stuff. And I was like, okay. So we had some emails back and forth, and she sent me this list of questions about branding, and I'm like, oh, what could I call myself? What symbols represent me?
Yeah.
Like just like all this stuff. If my brand was a person, what would her name be? What would she do? What's her life like?
Yes.
Just all this stuff. And then it got me thinking, like, could this actually be a thing?
Could this be like, I'm charging people under the table for just creating a bathing suit. Could I make this a company? Could other people be interested? It's like, yeah.
Yeah. And then on top of that, which is really cool, is that I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, because my mom, she had a gymnastics facility for many years. So she was the entrepreneur of the family.
Okay.
And I always wanted to make a positive impact on the community. And I just never found the right thing that I wanted to like. I always had entrepreneurship on my mind. Like, what could I do? Like what? And I just was never really good at anything.
Well, you were trying so many different things, and it sounds like you're really creative, and you're like, how can my creativity somehow impact people in a community? How can I be a business owner? Like, what does that translate to? You just can't picture it yet before it pictures you first.
So I played around with a lot of names. Most of them had already been taken, and that was like really frustrating. I think Tessellate Swim was one of my first ones.
Tessellate Swim.
Yeah, I think that was one of my first ones.
What's the meaning of that?
Tessellate is like making triangle shapes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And triangles, bikinis, you know?
Yeah,
but somebody already had it. I was like, oh, I thought that was so unique.
Yeah. I'm like, I wouldn't even think of that. Yeah. But there's always somebody who has your handle or has your name, and it's, damn it.
I know. And then my grandma, I never got to meet her. She's my mom's mom. and she passed away when my mom was really young. But she kind of we kind of joke about it, but she's kind of reincarnated through me because she was super creative, and she had a little macrame studio in Vancouver, and people would come in and she'd teach lessons and sell her stuff. And there's just lots of things in my life growing up that my mom's like, oh, my mom used to do that. Just like weird kind of
synchronicities.
Yeah.
And like
yeah. So I kind of always felt like she gets to live part of the rest of her life through me a little.
That's beautiful.
And so one of the possibilities was to name it after her. And her nickname was Jorgie. And my nickname is Gina. We're both Georgina.
Got it.
But she's Georgina with a G. And my mom changed mine to J just to make mine, have my own. So I have my own name.
Yeah.
So then I combined both the J and her nickname. So it's named after her. I've never, ever in my life gone by Jorgie. And it's so weird to have people call
you that now?
Yeah.
That's what I would call you. I'm like, Jorgie.
Yeah, it's super weird.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was like one of the first like kind of weird things about naming it that.
Yeah, because people are going to call you this.
Yeah,
They're like, oh, that's your name. Well, it's Georgina, so it's like Jorgie Apparel.
Yeah. And then luckily there's only one other Jorgie that comes up when you Google, so I thought that was good. There's like a celebrity in the UK. I think she was like a reality TV star.
Okay.
Jorgie Porter, I think her name is.
What up, Jorgie Porter?
And I thought that kind of like fit. And then I was at work one day flying, and one of the flight attendants, she was really she had a really unique personality, and she was giving everybody on the flight nicknames. And so she started calling me Georgia Peach.
Oh, interesting.
And I was like, oh, that's so cute. Like, nobody's ever called me that. Like, that's really cute, Georgia Peach.
It is adorable.
Even though, like, I'm not Georgia, but it's still, like, she's just was fooling around and just called me that for, like, the whole week that we were flying. And then I started noticing, like, oh, I have actually had a lot of, like, peach stuff happen in my life. Like in Germany, I was totally obsessed with peach iced tea, and like that's the only thing I would drink, and like just little things like that here and there. And
yeah, there's like all these synchronicities with this work.
Yeah, and then like the state of Georgia is famous for their peaches. They've got peaches on the license plate. Like I never thought about Georgina and peaches together before that.
And you're like, this makes sense.
Yes,
something is working here.
Yeah, just everything's just
falling into place.
Yeah. And then that was, and then I asked my friend Monica to handwrite Jorgie, because I wanted it to be handwritten, and I asked a bunch of people, and nobody got back to me about writing Jorgie.
Like doing it like calligraphy style?
Yeah. Like I think I asked like 5 or 10 people to do it, and she was the only one that actually came out and like sent me something.
It seems like such an easy thing.
Yeah. So thanks, Monica. You're the best. And then she drew some little peaches, and then I sent that to my partner's brother, and he's a graphic designer and an artist, and he digitalized it and then condensed it into one peach, and then that's just been my logo since, and I haven't changed it. And that was December 2019.
Wow. So then you were also flying. You're a flight attendant. And then 2020 hits, and everybody's going through COVID. And then you decide to switch careers.
It wasn't a switch, because I was laid off April 1st. Okay. And I was already doing it. Like, I was already sewing on the side. And my plan in December was to launch in April 2020. So I just
so that was already the plan.
Yeah, it was already the plan.
That's kind of amazing how that all sort of fell in line.
Yeah, it was kind of a blessing in a way. COVID was horrible for me generally, but it was a blessing in the way that it allowed me to have all this time to really develop my sewing skills very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. When everybody was sort of in like this quieter state, things were slowed down in a way that if you wanted to pick up something new or practice something, you had that time to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm definitely thankful for that time that I had. And also I saved a lot of money so I could buy, because of just like how all the finances and stuff worked with being laid off. I saved enough money to upgrade my machine, and it was just like, it just changed the game. Like, I think it used to take me 4 or 5 hours a suit because my machine was so old and blah. And now it takes me like an hour and a half, including sewing all the like the tags on and stuff.
That's such a huge like time saver.
Yeah, and it keeps my prices more reasonable too.
Because it's time.
Yeah,
absolutely. And you can make more suits, in a day.
Yeah. Like for my mental capacity, 4 is kind of my max. But if I push myself, I can make more. But 4 is like a healthy, like 8-hour work day with lots of breaks and food and
and enjoy your craft and not,
not stress,
overwork yourself.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you also use sustainable fabrics. Is that something you wanted to have as a component of your company? You wanted to be sustainable?
I actually didn't know that it existed when I first started developing like my launch strategy and all this stuff. I didn't know that there was fabric that was made from like plastic bottles or ocean plastics or anything like that. And then there was a brand in Calgary, in Edmonton, that we followed each other, and she was closing her business, and she made handmade swimwear, and she was closing her business to do manufacturing. Because she's like, oh, it's too much work to make everything by hand. I'm just going to get it all manufactured. And so she was getting rid of all her fabric. And when I got it, and the tags was like, oh, made from recycled or regenerated nylon from fishing nets from the Mediterranean, like, learn more. And I was like, what?
You're like, I can do this?
Excuse me, what?
This is a thing?
This is amazing. Like, how did I... And this was like a month in, I think maybe a month or less into my launch. So this was April 2020 that I found out about this fabric. And I was like, oh, I could have done my whole line out of this. I totally would have. And then she also told me where she bought it from, which was super nice.
Oh, that's super
And now this is my supplier in Quebec. Like,
that's rad.
I don't get my fabric from anywhere else, like my solids.
That's
all from Quebec.
That's awesome. And does it come overseas? And
so the Quebec supplier, she orders it directly from the manufacturer in Italy.
Amazing.
Yeah, and she's one of 2 in North America. So there's Solid Stone in the States, and then she's got her small business, and like she's a female entrepreneur too. So, and it's like a family business. She took it over from her dad. I got to meet her on one of my trips, and it was just really cool to like have this full circle, like supporting other entrepreneurs and other women.
I think that's one of the biggest things too, especially in the beginning stages of your career, having a network of people and working it into the culture of young entrepreneurs and like helping people along, and not like gatekeeping information and just like being open and sharing, because ultimately everybody has their own personality and their own style, and they're going to do it differently. So it's really cool to see other women helping other women.
Yeah, it's interesting about the gatekeeping. There's definitely kind of a balance, and there's a lot of thought for sure that goes into what am I going to give away?
Right, because there's also trade secrets.
If I give it away, will it hurt me in any way? Like, will it take something away from me? And most of the time, no. There's so many, especially in the States and along like the California coast, there's so many handmade swimwear brands, like so many. And like, there's enough like the reason why they all exist is because there's enough people to support them all.
That's right.
There's
a lot of people in the world, and there's not too many of us, even though it can feel like that sometimes. You're like, damn, there's so many.
Yeah.
And you can start to like go down the rabbit hole and look at everybody's websites and see what they're doing, and it's
I think it's a good thing to like recognize that there are a lot of people and there's enough people to support whatever you want to do. Like whatever niche you're going to do.
Yes.
Or whatever very special skill that you have. If you want to pursue that and you love that, you should and you can, because there's enough people to support you.
Absolutely. And there's people that will want to support you for you. There's, again, lots of people doing things in the world, but there's something unique that each of us have that's different than the next person. So there's room for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you ever got in your head about it and thought, or like looked at other, like on Instagram or social media and like went down that road? And
yeah, like how much should I say without naming names? There was one brand that I used to compare myself heavily to, and I definitely had a lot of dark moments being like, why don't I have the same amount of followers, or why don't I have more followers? Like, I started my business first.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing all this work. Like, I post on social media every day, like all this stuff, and I was putting all this work in, and I'm just looking at her page, like she posts once a year and she still has more followers. Like, even now, I'll go look it up, and she still does.
And you're like, it's growing. How does this make sense?
She posted once last year. So in those situations, you just have no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you don't know if she's in follow groups. You don't know if she's bought followers. You don't know if it's just a big wave of people from a very popular neighborhood in India or something. Like, there's always something like that happens.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know, and there's no point in comparing, and there's no logical sense that you can make out of it.
Yeah.
And it was really causing me a lot of unnecessary stress. And so that's one thing about social media, is you have to remember that you are also the curator of your feed.
Yes.
And so when I come across an account that makes me feel that way, I either mute if I still want to, maintain some kind of a relationship, or you just unfollow.
Yeah, absolutely. Just clean up your feed and see only what's
so
going
good.
to... Oh, absolutely. I do that probably maybe every 6 months, every 3 months, a few times a year at least, where I just like go through my followers or go through my, like, who I follow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, oh, this doesn't resonate with me anymore. Or like, I just was one night scrolling through all these like different like clothing sites. And then I'm like, okay, I have been spending too much money on clothes. I'm like unfollowing all of these things.
That too.
I'm like, I just need to like clean this up because it's too much. Or if there's just people that you fucked with before, and then now you're like, you know what? I don't necessarily love this point of view anymore. I'm gonna unfollow this or mute it, and it's just cleaning up.
Yeah, I've had accounts like you admire them and you're like, oh, I want to work towards having that life, and then now when I see stuff like that on my feed, I'm like, oh, that's not my goal anymore. I don't need to be following this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, it just makes me, it doesn't make me sad that I'm not pursuing that anymore, but it's like, it's a path that I chose not to go down.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I would like to leave it behind.
And
I can't when it's just constantly coming up.
Yes, absolutely. And it like affects you. Like, if it's the first thing that you see in your day, because we all check social media probably during the daytime, and it affects our mood. And if we're having these highs and lows in our mood because of the way that our feed is being presented to us, we have the power and the ability to make changes to that. So for all of our mental well-being.
Yeah, definitely a big part of self-care. Remember to add that to your routine.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as community that you've built online, you have a huge following of women, and how you have a unique way and a unique approach to how you've gotten your followers. Some of them have found you, but most of these people have actually, like, you've met them in person and you've involved them in some way in the company, which is really special.
Yeah, like, that part is so, like, it's just a huge part now of why I keep going. Like, if there's any hurdles and I'm like, why am I still doing this? Why am I putting all my money towards this? Like that's why, is like all the incredible people that I've met through that. And you know, you always hear in Vancouver it's hard to make friends and meet people and find people that are like-minded and stuff. And I think that this is
people that will show up and not flake.
Yeah,
That's
and I
a big
think
thing.
that this is one way for people to do that. And I'm so glad that I can be the one to continue growing that and having opportunities for people.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's a mutual relationship, which is really special. And I think that is one of the key elements to being successful is we can't just think about things from our own selfish perspective. You grow organically in business or otherwise because you're offering people something that leaves them feeling either like they've gotten more education out of it or leave them with a feeling. And I think you very much leave people with a feeling, and it helps you grow and it also helps them. And it's really empowering for people to come and like model for you and feel good in what they're wearing. That's a huge confidence boost, I think, for a lot of people from conversations I've had whenever there's photo shoots that go on and like you invite these people into your life and then they feel more connected to the brand, like they know you.
Yeah, I think how that kind of started was I wanted to have the photos of my brand be relatable. Like that was a huge thing. Like I wanted someone to go to my page and be like, oh, that kind of looks like me, or that kind of looks like my friend, or I could see myself in that situation doing that thing.
Yeah.
Or being silly in that way, or whatever it is. And I wanted real people. Like I wanted people that, like I love shooting with people who've never shot before because they're just being themselves.
Yeah.
There's no acting. There's no choreography. It's just raw. It's natural. Like I love capturing that and having that to display my product, because that's who I'm selling to. I'm selling to you. I'm making these things for you, and you need to see yourself in my swimwear as well.
Absolutely. And it's so incredible to see women feel good in what they're wearing and be that exposed in a bathing suit in swimwear and show up and feel sexy and like want to like be in it, pose and like be involved and feel like they can be a part of that. And it's tough at times because we scrutinize our bodies. But if we can see people that look like us and we can wear clothing that fits good and makes us feel good, then we can show up and feel good and show that to the world.
Yeah. I'm so glad you've been a part of it.
I have. It's been amazing. It's been such a ride.
Kirsty was part of my spring 2021 shoot. I think that's the first time we met. Oh, no. You came over to try the suit on before.
Yes.
That's when we met.
That is when we met.
But yeah, that was incredible. I love
that's
those
the
photos.
thing too. But I also like you have such a presence online again that I went to try on the suit and there was so much communication back and forth. Like she got my measurements. We could make tweaks to the bathing suit if there was something that was like, you know, if there's more fabric here than needed or I need a little bit more. It was like there was so much communication that when I showed up, I just like felt like I knew you already. You're like, hey, go upstairs, try on your bathing suit. I was like, okay, yeah. I just like felt like I was at a friend's house and I was like, perfect. Yeah, this works. This feels amazing. And I have several bathing suits now. And it's so hard to go online. Like I'll never go online and like buy a bathing suit from AliExpress. I know where I'm getting this and I love to support people in the community. I love to support friends. That's really important to me. It's just important to show up for people and continue to, you know, help you thrive.
Yeah. And I love having like supporting back as well. Like anytime any one of my customers has any kind of business or whatever, like here we're doing this podcast. Yes. I'm your guinea pig. This is your first in-person recording. And I just love to be able to support you back.
I love it.
And I love that.
I think it's so important. And that's how we grow and that's how we stay connected. And that's how you should be with your friends. You should support them and you should, you know, pay for their products and, you know, help them out and promote them. It doesn't, even if you have no money, it doesn't cost anything to share or to like or, subscribe to what they're offering. I love that. I think that that's how communities grow authentically. So
Yeah. Amen.
yeah, preach. I wanted to also ask you about your ADHD because I also have ADHD.
ADHD fam. You know what's so funny? Once I found out I had ADHD, like you just find all these people who have ADHD.
I know, they're
I've
everywhere.
never met so many people with ADHD in my life.
We're everywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't see ADHD at all as I don't see it as a flaw or a disorder. I really truly believe it's just a wiring of the brain that is just another option humans have when they're born. And so it's just,
exactly.
I'm sure it had some important properties and there was some importance to the way that we operate in other times in history. And now it's just the way that our society is set up that we feel like it's a problem or we are trying to catch up or we're just like not on the same baseline as everybody else. Have you found that it has impacted your work in any way, or like how has discovering your ADHD helped you?
It's helped a lot through I've worked with a therapist through it to kind of discover what works for me and talking to them about it. And we've found for me that I need a balance of structure and freedom for me to operate at an optimal level.
Oh my God, that sounds like something that I need right now. Structure.
Yeah.
But freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that I was struggling with in January, for example, I had too much freedom. I was just doing Jorgie Apparel.
You're speaking to me right now.
and I was just not productive. And once I got this job with the charity, so I negotiated with them Monday to Thursday because I needed to have that freedom of having Fridays. I needed to have something that could be flexible.
Yes.
And I also made an agreement that if I have something for my business come up on a Wednesday, then I take the Wednesday off and work the Friday.
And they're flexible with you for that. That's amazing. Oh
right?
My God. More businesses, please.
And
I know that's tough for them, but yes.
And it's just working so great to have
awesome.
that. And I don't feel restricted, and I feel like I'm really operating at an optimal level right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
In terms of ADHD, and I guess everyone probably has this kind of optimal area that they work the best in. Some people need more structure or less structure or whatever.
I'm like you. I need a balance of both. I definitely need my freedom. Otherwise, I feel like I'm Rapunzel and I feel like I'm stuck. And if I have free reign, then I really will take it and I will just sit in that. Yeah. And then I'm like, hours have gone by and I'm like, I have not been I've been doing a lot of stuff. I have filled the day with stuff, but I'm like, what did I actually complete today? Like, do I have anything to complete that shows I'm getting ahead? So
yeah, and I've heard kind of in the ADHD community that there's something that's, I don't know what the term is, but you kind of get
like a paralysis.
Paralysis, exactly. Like, for example, in the free time days, I'd have let's say a doctor's appointment at 3 p.m. I literally could not do anything until 3 p.m.
I have heard this. This is like a big thing that I've heard online.
I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. Because like now for example, today I went to the gym at 5 a.m. I went to work and now I'm here and I'm going to go get something to eat. Like, look at all the things I'm doing now.
It's all that structure. It's all that structure included. And sometimes I think that's a good thing for a lot of people. I think structure people can really thrive in. It's like, okay, I have to accomplish these things. And otherwise it's like you're kind of aimless. If you have like this container to work within, you're like, okay, I can, have an hour here to do what I want, or I have 3 hours in the evening or whatever it is in my day to like be free, but I've got these things to accomplish. And then at the end of the day, you're like, I've accomplished all these things and I've been successful. I've accomplished today. I feel good about today.
Yeah,
and not every day will be like that, but
yeah, and then you get that like hit of dopamine that's really
Yes.
important for ADHD brains to
well, if you have structure, it's like a dopamine
Operate.
hit every time you complete a task. You're like, yes, 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 I'm hitting the mark.
yeah, exactly.
So I definitely feel into that. And also, how do you, like, with your ADHD, are you a highly sensitive person like I am?
I think receiving and giving feedback is a huge soft spot for me.
Yeah.
And I've worked so hard at it, and I've gotten I've had a lot of hard conversations about it, like even my university teachers, which is awesome that they cared so much to sit me down and tell me that I had a problem with receiving feedback. But like, thanks for
sharing that.
Yeah, instead of just like being like, oh, whatever, and like not letting me know, and then I wouldn't be able to work on it. And that's what's so great about feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
If somebody
need to
doesn't
know.
say anything, then you'll never know. Like, and that's, you know, how I'm trying to approach it all the time now. Like, please tell me your feedback. Doesn't matter, negative.
It's still gonna hurt, but I'm gonna take it and I'm going to do something with it. It'll help me grow.
Yeah. And sometimes I get that, like, maybe I'll have like an hour after I get the news and I'll be like really disappointed, or like I'll go into bed and like, you know, be
have a sad nap.
Yeah, have a sad nap. Exactly.
For anybody else who hasn't had a sad nap, I've definitely had them.
Yeah. So I'll have my
Just need to
sad
shut
nap
down.
and then I'll get out of bed and I'm like, all right, let's do this. And then I get the thing done and now I've leveled up my game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's definitely like a sensitive spot.
Yes.
Yes.
I get that. I totally, completely understand.
Mhm.
And I feel the same way when it comes to feedback. I'm afraid to get criticism, but at the same time, when I get it, I can collect the important information from that and make, you know, things in my life better.
Yeah.
And then also giving feedback. I'm always just in this mindset in previous jobs, having to let people go or having to give people constructive criticism or feedback. The shit sandwich. Here's what you're doing good.
Exactly.
Here's what needs to improve. But you're doing really great here.
I think that's why I like to use a lot of emojis.
Yeah.
And like
smile.
Just lots
I'm
of
saying this with
reassuring.
love.
Yeah. Like with my partner,
kindness.
I'll be like, I don't know what's something that I can say. I don't know, like let's make an example, like dishes or something. Like, hey, it'd be great if you don't pile all the dishes in both sides of the sink, because then we can't use any part of the sink because it's just full of dishes. I love you so much. I hope you're having a great day. Smile, smile, smile.
So
You're
the
the
thing is, you're not
best.
like saying it really mean. You're like not attacking them.
Yeah, I'm not attacking, but
That was not supposed to happen.
yeah. So I'm not. Yeah, I don't want anyone to feel bad with the feedback. I want to give it so that I don't harbor anger and we both have a negative experience in general.
I'm like just holding on to things. I'm like, I need to share this with somebody, but I can't because I feel like I'm being mean and like I'm assuming I'm putting my sensitivities on them, like as if they're gonna take my feedback and feel the same way that I would with that feedback. But I'm like, it needs to be said. It's bothering me. This person needs to grow and learn.
Yeah.
And we've all had those experiences. But yeah, I too have a hard time giving it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Another sensitive area is like talking over text. Like some people, the way that they write online, especially boomers, they use a lot of dots. And it
the dots.
I think I feel like we've talked about this before with the dots.
Oh my God. That
like
or
my
K,
mom.
receiving like just like a K response. Yeah. It's not even okay. Yeah. Okay. It's just K.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, damn, you're mad at me. Like you're really angry.
Yeah. And that's where I'm sensitive because I'm like, oh my God, like, do they like me? Are they mad at me? Did I do something?
They just absolutely hate us. I can feel it through the text. And really, they're just like so nonchalant. They're just like, yeah, I'm just like trying to be quick here. I don't want to type full paragraphs
like
to you.
My boss will be like, call me right now.
Oh my God, the stress.
What did I do?
Who's
and it's
dead?
always like, can you check my calendar? I think Bob is blah, 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 blah. And I'm
Oh
like,
my God. You're like, seriously, did you actually need to give me a heart attack for that?
Yeah.
That's why I need to call you? Oh my God.
Or like when someone's like, hey, and they'll just send hey. And I'm like, hey. And then they won't respond for like 2 hours. And I'm like,
now I'm sitting
what
here wondering what this. It's like the same feeling of like we need to talk.
Yeah. Like, what's the hey for?
So I want to ask you this question. With the sort of buzzwords like body positivity movements and body inclusivity, which I think is probably another spin on that, but sounds a little bit more inclusive for people's emotions and feelings because we don't always feel positive about our body. Do you like having those labels, and do you include them as part of your brand? And is that important to you?
I think body positivity is part of the experience, but it's not the whole experience because we can't be positive all the time. And the most important part is to have compassion for yourself and hold space for yourself and allow yourself to have those moments of self-doubt. But remember that you are capable of being your confident self, and you're just having, a moment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or whatever.
It's like, this is my body, this is my vehicle, this is what I have to use to get around. And so treat it kindly. And
it's always changing, like especially mine in the last couple of years. I've had a lot of changes in my weight and things like that. And it's just about, always holding that compassion for yourself all the way along the journey. Doesn't matter what you're going through or what size you are or whatever. It's just like, I'm allowed to feel this feeling and it will pass, and then I can move on and keep going with my journey and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Have you found that a lot of the people that you have created custom suits for have come to you and been thankful for the inclusive availability of bathing suits and swimwear? Has that been something that's come up? Because you offer, I think, sizes from
XXX XXS, extra small to
double extra small.
6XL.
Okay.
Yeah. Not all the suits are meant to be, not all the styles are meant to be this way or that way.
Yeah.
But that's another conversation.
Right. And that's like why you have people, if they're looking for custom suits, or the amazing part about being custom is that they can go online and it's all handmade by you. They can connect with you and discuss with you what their goals are for their swimwear and their size and measurements, and you can collaborate and help them along in the process.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely, the best feedback that I get is people telling me like, this is the first thong bikini I've had the confidence to wear, or first bikini in general, or I haven't worn a swimsuit in general for years. Like, I've had so many of these comments, and even just in this 3-year, now we're at 3 years, and just even seeing our mutual friend Alicia at her first meetup to our most recent meetup, like the confidence and the, like, even the photographers were like, wow, she has like star quality,
I know, she's like a model, like she's just totally owns it.
Yeah. And
she looks amazing.
Yeah, not only am I getting word feedback, verbal feedback, but I see it. Like, I see people's growth happening. Yeah. Like, that's just wild. I love that.
Oh my God. I love that as well. That's amazing. My last question for you is about the future of the brand. I know you do swimwear right now. What is your goal for the future, and what is your mission? And I know these are like bigger questions, but what do you see for yourself in the future for Jorgie Apparel?
The most important thing is to keep it custom swimwear. So that means that it's basically impossible to get it manufactured. That's just not going to happen.
It's just not an option.
Nothing out of Vancouver. Like, it has to stay here, and it has to be a small team so that it can stay custom. And one kind of idea that I've been playing with is if I can get the men's line going, which I've been wanting to do for years. I know some of you guys are still waiting to model for me. And to have someone, just one person dedicated to the men's line and continuing to spread the body positive and
body inclusive, men, women, trans folks, anybody with a body.
Yeah, anybody with a body. Like, I just want to spread the happiness and the joy of like loving yourself at any stage that you're at. And yeah, I definitely want to do the men's line and maybe some gender neutral, like a gender neutral line.
Cool.
I have some people that I can explore those things with. It's just hard when you're a one-woman show. So if I can build a small team, let's say in 5 years, I've got a team of 5 or 6 and we have a little studio somewhere and people can come in and have their alterations done or their suits done or their try-ons. Like I would love to have a studio that's got like funky decor that's like super Instagrammable or whatever the social media is at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have them have like pre-made suits there that they can try on and be like, okay, I like this style, but let's make the scoop lower or this higher or this like this or whatever, like whatever they want to do. And to have that like in-store experience.
And this like tangible experience where you can go and try it on.
Yeah, that's always been the dream, is to have something like that. And like the 10-year goal would be like Moana Bikini, they've done these events where they pay for like do they pay? I don't know if they pay for it. But people like, they have like an event, like everyone meet at the beach with your Moana bikini at this time. And it's just like this massive crowd of women that show up. And, or like they'll have everyone, like I think the last one was they gave a free bikini to the first 200 people that came. And it was just like a wild lineup all across the beach.
Amazing.
And just things like that. I don't like, I'll do my own thing, of course, and my own style, but just to have that
community of people that show up for your brand.
And then also be able to, take some select models and fly them all to Bora Bora and do a photo shoot, like I want to have the ability to give that experience to models or maybe it's some lucky customer winners or like whatever it is. Like that would be like just wild and amazing, and best photographers and videographers and boat trips and
be out in the Maldives, be out in the water, be in the Caribbean. That would be
that's
amazing.
The dream.
Vacation.
So stick around.
Keep watching, because that may be you someday. Thank you so much for
having me,
for sharing, and I've loved every minute. Where can people find you?
You can shop for custom swimwear directly from my store, jorgie.ca, jorgie.ca. And you can build your swimsuit from drop-down menus on the website, or you can book a consultation with me online and we'll chat about it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much
Thanks
again.
for having me.
Yes.
You guys like and subscribe.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.